How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Fourever Arsenal podcast. The second week of international break is coming to an end, and the Premier League football is around the corner again. Game week 4 is on the horizon. Game week 4 is a big one for us. North London derby away from home. Before it's the Etihad away from home, and just in between that, it's Atalanta away from home. So it's a big week coming up, people, and we'll be doing a pod in between every single one of those games. But here we are back again. So hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to all of that stuff. Quite a bit to talk about aside from the Tottenham. Well, it's linked to the Tottenham preview regarding injuries. But I'm sure you all know that was going to be the main topic on hand, considering the news that has filtered out over the last 24 hours from the international scene, Norway in particular, Odegaard in particular. We're going to get into it all, people. Big up Jordan, Lee, and James as always. Welcome back to James, actually. James, it seems you were somewhat missed in the comment section of the last show.
That's very sweet. James didn't know that. I was away and I put my phone down. Like, I just put it away. So I big up to Dan filling in. I didn't watch the show back. It's nothing personal. It's just especially after the way the game went. I was away. I was like, yeah, nah, I'm not getting involved. I'm staying away from football. It's been a good week. Shame that we can go into the international break with a win. But things happen, and shame about the injuries as well. We'll go into it all.
A lot of shames. Jordan,
just before we get into the chat, went to the big. I know we'll get to the comments later on, but I wanted to do a shout out to so many people that hit me up on the DMs that were just big fans of the podcast. I was working out in Paris for the Paralympics at Channel 4, and so many Arsenal fans who some were out there and some were just watching the coverage were just really complimentary about mainly me, but the general podcast and all four of us and our contributions to the pod. We've got a really dope community of people that love this podcast, so I can't name them individually because there were so many, honestly, but all those that hit me up that love the podcast and love what we do, trying to shout out generally all the growing followers to the pod. So big up all those people.
I think you're muted, Turkish.
Yeah, I don't know why that was. But it is all mad. The love is always welcome. And it is crazy how much support this pod gets. So big up everyone that shows love in the comment section, in person, just by hitting the like button, just by viewing. It all does matter. So really do appreciate that. And I think that's the niceties out the way, because I'm not sure how much more niceties there's going to be over the next 45 minutes or so. But I'll let someone else start. Lee, you've been quiet. You all good?
Yeah. No, he's muted.
What's going on here?
What are we? Come on, people.
No one wants to talk something today.
No one wants to talk today.
We're all out in sympathy for Odegaard's ankle, aren't we? Like, so I feel about as good as his left ankle at the moment. Yeah,
not
good.
Mustn't be great. James, let me start with you, man, because obviously Brighton result, dropped 2 points. You know, the Rice red card. That's it. It's history now. It's been talked about an awful lot. You put your phone down for the week. You've enjoyed a nice little breakaway. But we come back to worse news, probably in a worse position, with both Calafiori injured and sent home, and Odegaard now with what seemed like an injury that will at least keep him out for 2 weeks. And when you consider how big the next 2 weeks are, it's a massive, massive blow in a position that in my opinion, we couldn't afford to take a blow in.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks ago, we just welcomed Marino through the door. We were thinking, okay, let's see if he can get some minutes against Brighton, because we're probably going to need him and his profile in these big away games. Obviously, we didn't know Rice was going to get a very unique red card. One I'm sure we won't see again in the Premier League. And Odegaard, again, playing international football, knowing that he had a knock, but going and playing anyway. I don't really begrudge him for playing. I understand he wants to play for his country and represent his country. I understand that. My issue isn't even that these internationals, these games in particular exist. It's the timing of them 3 weeks into a season when we've just had tournament football, it just seems ludicrous to me. It feels so players being here, there, and everywhere over the last few months. I just think, why, after a major tournament, do we need them off playing, 2 international games 3 weeks into the Premier League season? So lots of frustration about all that. On the WhatsApp group yesterday, I said, and Jordan was right to actually point out, that's kind of wrong to say this, but I said we've got our first choice midfield out for the Spurs game. And, Jordan, you rightly said, well, we haven't seen Marino play. We can't really know that. But I just think with A, Partey's injury record, and B, Marino's profile, which is 6'2" physical monster, I kind of just think if there was 2 games all season that you definitely would have wanted him for, it was Tottenham away and Man City away. So devastating not to have him, especially at a time where it looks like we're going to miss Odegaard for probably both. And Rice missing the Tottenham game, which feels so frustrating. So I'm. It's been a couple of weeks of like testing news for Arsenal fans, and when I say testing, it's like, the red card for Declan Rice. I've got a typically sort of glass half full view of this, which is you're going to have bad decisions go for you at some point in the season. When that happens, what can you come out with? And I'm not for 1 second saying it was a good point against Brighton. I'm not. But when you're playing against a team that are very good on the ball, create lots of chances, you've had a ludicrous red card go against you, to dig in and at least get a point. And I want to, and again, people listen to this going, oh, great, so you're celebrating a point. I'm not saying that. Last season, we won as many games as Man City. The difference was they only lost 3, we lost 5. So in games where things went badly for them, they found a way to at least get something out of it. So I wonder if at the end of the season we'll reflect on that as a really bad day where things kind of went against us, but we managed to claw back a point. I'm just trying to look at the really positive side of things here. And I'll also say that it was one of those where, we weren't playing well that game either. So, when I did my match report on my channel, I wasn't just sort of sitting there going, the ref did us, we were hard done by, just unlucky. We didn't play well up to the 55th minute for the red either. So I kind of had that frustration with the performance anyway. Why am I saying all this? Because you kind of got the frustration, disappointment of that result. Plus the Sterling news and the signing of him was kind of disappointing for some for what we wanted to do in the window. Then you've had the injuries. But the reality is we've still got good players and we've still got an ability to go and do something in this North London derby. We've got to ride this wave of injury news and, sort of frustrating news that's come through. And we've got to try and, channel it into something positive. And I feel the frustration that a lot of Arsenal fans have felt over the last few weeks. But not all is lost, is what I'm trying to say. Like, we need to try and pull through and make good from it. You could tell I've been on holiday and I've had a few, cocktails and I'm feeling like, woo, life's okay. But I just try to see the positives in everything.
I think you're right. And I'll jump in before Turkish and Lee do, because I think they're going to be a bit more on the kind of pissed off kind of side of things. And rightfully so. I look, injuries happen. The Rice absence isn't bad luck for me, but Odegaard and Marino the injuries happen, right? It's a horrible injury. We were speculating in the group how long we think Odegaard's going to be out for. It's a massive loss. I think if he's out for a month, we've had a touch because it looked bad. It looked really, really bad. I think if we get him back in the next month, we've had a real touch there because it could be significantly longer than that. And the Marino thing, I don't even know what's happened there, but it is what it is. We were fortunate last season, apart from Timber, we didn't really have any serious injuries last season. I don't really count Partey and Jesus because they've got track records of being injured. So we knew what it was when we had those players, whereas Timber was just bad luck. That happened in a game. We couldn't mitigate against that. So look, we've got a few difficult injuries to deal with in the season. But just to kind of semi-repeat what James has said, look, we just got to crack on. I don't personally think that a midfield of Jorginho, Partey, and it will probably be Zinchenko or even Nwaneri, who I've not seen much of. That's not the worst midfield 3 to go with Spurs. Spurs ain't amazing. Spurs, I don't know we need to win the game, but that midfield 3 is not awful. So we've just got to just dig in now, suck it up. It's not great. It's unfortunate. We could talk about fixtures of the international games and when they are, and James maybe is right. But look, I just don't want to be in this kind of woe is us scenario where we're just kind of crying about it. It's happened. Let's go to Spurs and let's go and beat Spurs. Let's just go and beat them. I don't want to hear any excuses. We've got a good enough team to beat Spurs. Our defense is insane. And up top, if Kai Havertz is going to play up top and he's on his current run of form, we've got enough to beat Spurs. My final point is, my bigger concern is that they put Kai Havertz back in midfield. That is, for me, the bigger issue. I do not want to see Kai Havertz in that midfield. If Kai Havertz is in midfield come Sunday, we are in trouble. He's not good in our midfield. It doesn't work. So the biggest concern for me about the losses of Rice, Marino, and Odegaard is that he might now bring Kai Havertz 15 yards back in. That for me would be a concern. Otherwise, look, let's just get on with it.
Yeah, get on with it. We've still got a team good enough to beat Tottenham, but we've got a team light enough to also lose to Tottenham right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm tired of the glass half full thing, and that might be cheeky from me because I very rarely see it half full with this club. But I just don't listen. Injuries are a part of the game, you know, and it's something we all spoke about in the summer. This is why we wanted to add a bit more depth to the side. So it just stinks of the same negligence that it always has with this club. You know, it is unfortunate. Of course, it's unfortunate to have begrudge him playing for his country. No, he wants to. He's the captain of Norway as well. No, I'm sure, you know, even with that knock, he wanted to go out and represent. I like that. Go represent your country, play, be proud, come back. It hasn't worked out, but is that on him or is it on the fact we haven't got no one behind him? That's what it's similar to the Gundogan thing for me. We look at the Gundogan move from City, wow, because we didn't do what we needed to do. Now we're looking at the Odegaard injury, like wow, because we don't have a good enough option to fill in for him. And we can go back to the transfer window and ask, Emil Smith-Rowe, did I want him upgraded? Yes. Did we upgrade on him? No. We sold him. That's different. People will say, oh, you wanted him sold. No, I wanted him upgraded. And I'm sorry, now the transfer window's closed. The Emil Smith-Rowe sale, I checked my bank account balance last night. None of that 35 million entered my bank account. So what did that sale do for me? What did that sale do? Might as well have kept the lad. Because Vieira you've sent out on loan as well for free. No obligation, no option, no fee up front. Just the wages. There you go, mate. There's our backup option that we bought in 2 years ago. Oh, yeah, Lokonga as well 2 years ago. 8 option. Oh, he's gone as well. Okay, but we didn't upgrade on any of them. We just let them go out the door. Now, one injury into that attacking midfield department, we're effed. You know, it's 8 a.m. I'll mind my language. We are effed. Can we beat Tottenham? Yes, we can. But it's not Tottenham that I'm worried about. It's the season. Because honestly, we ain't winning this league this season. And it's going to be another wasted 11 months. For me, as a fan, for the club, for these players who have ambitions to win stuff. We call it premature. I said yesterday in my live, play this episode back in game week 38, and then you might understand it more. Because it's easy to say be positive now. It's easy to say, you know, it's still early on in the season. Come on. We ain't got no killers in the attack. We ain't got the depth to compete with Man City. How do we expect to pull this out the bag? And even with beating Tottenham, we could be 5 points behind City in 2 weeks. 5 points behind City. Yeah, it's looking like a very long season, and it's frustrating because I just want to feel like we can win it, and I don't feel like we can win it. I felt like we could win it last year. I don't feel like we could win it now, and I'm the one that put my neck on the line and said we will, because I thought the club would do what we need to do this summer. So yes, Odegaard being injured is terrible. It's a massive blow, but it's doubled down because we don't have the adequate backup. We don't have the replacements in, and who does that come down to? Again, the people in charge of the club. Arteta hasn't signed the contract. Okay, let's find out. Let's see how that one goes. So yeah, I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off because I'm always nervy about Tottenham. It's the North London derby away from home. Yeah, like we've won the last 2. When you win it, it's amazing. But the lead up to it, it's one of the most nervy games because you do not want to lose that one, especially now when we're up there challenging for the best and major honor, the Premier League. It will hurt tenfold more than it did you losing to them 5, 6, 7 years ago, because we are going for things. But we've doubled down on the nerves for me with leaving our squad light. I'm asking for Nwaneri to start now. And what was my thing at the beginning of the summer? Don't rely on a 17-year-old. I'm saying start the 17-year-old in the North London derby away from home. Why? It's not because I want to. It's because the options we have left Or maybe we can move Saka in the 10. What, game week 3? We're thinking of moving Saka into 10, Sterling to the right. But really, Sterling should have upgraded the left. Or Havertz might come from striker to midfield. It's all nonsense. I'll be real with you. It's all nonsense. And I know where this is leading this season. Nowhere.
I have so much more to say, but I think Lee needs to come in now. But yeah, I hear you. Go on, Lee.
Do you know what? Like, I agree with everything that everybody's been saying. It's listen, from my point of view, I'm going to go back. Was it 10 years, maybe even longer than that? Like every time Giroud got injured, or went down, I'm going, oh no, because we ain't got a backup in that area. Do you remember that? Like, you know, I'm now at a stage where we've challenged for the league for 2 years, and when certain players go down, with the money that we'll spend on season tickets and things like that, I'm thinking, oh no, we shouldn't be in that position. You know, there was an option this season. I never felt that the players that we brought in, I think, was very, very good. I think all the business side of it is good, but I've always said we was a little bit short. And why I've said I was a little bit short is because we've got lots more games, and I don't care what anybody says. These are professional people. Arteta and Edu, they're professional people. Like, you know, I'm not. But every time you go on a football field, there's one thing that can happen. It's a risk. You can get injured. It's as simple as that. So the more games you play, the more chances of injuries. That's a fact, because that is how it is. So when you're adding in an extra 4 games that have not been there for the whole of the season, plus internationals, they knew that. And they decided to chop down the squad. You know what I mean? Look, listen, this is a fantastic opportunity now for Emil Smith-Rowe to get games, make his mark now. Oh, we sold him and not replaced him. Now you have replaced him because everybody turned around and said it with Wanyeri. And I think at the end of the day, I don't care if he's 17 years of age. If he's good enough, this is what he does. He comes in there and that, and I think he is good enough. I think he is good enough to come in on this game here and prove himself. And do you know what? I'm going to back him. I am backing him to come in and do the business. And do you know what? If he doesn't come in and do the business, I'm looking at Edu and Arteta and going, then I'll ask the question, why have you not replaced Smith-Rowe? Why have you not replaced Vieira? Why have you let those players go if you're not prepared to give this kid a go when we've got an injury-ravaged start to the season? So for me, Wanyeri comes in. I've seen enough of him to know that he'll be all right. So from that point of view, I'm not too bothered. But what I'm bothered about Wanyeri, right, is that you're asking a 17-year-old kid to play on Sunday against Tottenham, then you're asking him to play against Atalanta on a Thursday, and then you're asking him to play against Manchester City on the Sunday. Now, he's never done that. He's never done big 3 games back to back. He's going to have to now. And that's the problem. That's the problem for me. They knew that this was coming. They knew that they were going to be having to play 4 games extra in the Champions League. By the way, you know what I mean? Looking at it, it's all about money. We know that. And that's my disappointment with it all. Injuries are always going to happen. I'll tell you the next one that's going to get injured. So I'll tell you the next one's going to get injured because it's always going to happen. Oh, Raya, he'll be the next one. Because you look at last season, when you had 2 goalkeepers there, it's just the law of it's just the way it is sometimes. You know what I mean? You know, you can guarantee. Yes, sod's law. You know what I mean? Like Aaron Ramsdale on the bench last season played 2 games. 2 games that he had to play in was against Brentford. Like, you know, I guarantee now he'll have more games than that. But it's just sometimes you can't legislate for that. Like, you know. But I look at Thomas Partey, like, you know, he's played 290 minutes for Ghana. Well done. You know what I mean? But it's like me, if I go and play 4 games of football now, right, my body's going to break down. I know it's going to break down. You know what I mean? Like, his body's going to break down at some stage now, like, you know, whether it be at Tottenham, at Atlanta. You're asking him now, with an injury record and a track record like he is, to go Tottenham away, difficult. Atlanta away, tough. City away, very, very difficult. You got your 2 toughest away games, right? Back to back. I don't care what anybody says. Manchester City away and Tottenham away are our two toughest games for obvious reasons. Like, you know that they're coming. Like, you know what I mean? You know that they're coming. You had a transfer window. So in that transfer window, Mourinho went down. And God knows how long he's going to take to come back. Like, you know what I mean? From a shoulder injury, I don't know. And people keep to me like already. Jordan's turned around and said, "Oh, I don't want Havertz in midfield. I'll have him in midfield. He's got a game to play tonight. Another 90 minutes to go through. He has for Germany. He ain't gonna be rested tonight. He's be playing up top. So at the end of the day, he could go down today. Saka could go down today because you don't think like old Carsley's going to be resting him. Like, two players." International week, and I shouldn't be thinking this, guys. I'm watching the England-Ireland game, and in the end, if I could have got into the telly and strangled Carsley, I would have. I'd loved to have flown over to Ireland and smacked him one, because at the end of the day, off comes Kane, off comes who stays on for the 90 minutes? Saka and Rice. You know what I mean? I shouldn't be thinking like that. I'd be thinking, oh, that's all right. I'm not worried about Saliba so much this season because of what we've got at the back there, like, And unfortunately, Calafiori, who looks like a beast, is probably injured now. But I'm going to say that. Big up to Italy. I think he could have played today. I've seen the injury. Could have played yesterday. But no, he's pulled him out. And at the end of the day, Arsenal have to look at yourselves here, like, it hasn't taken much for Manchester City to leave out Foden. It hasn't taken much. I think like Foden sneezed and Pep said, "You're not going. You've got a cold." Right? Cole Palmer. I guarantee you, Cole Palmer, Mickey van der Ven and Foden will all be available on Sunday or the weekend when they play. Right? Odegaard limped off and limped around the Emirates for the last 10 minutes in that game against Brighton. Had to come back in the end. There's no way in God's earth he should have even gone. You know what I mean? Like, no, pulled out, end of. And I don't care. I don't care if he's captain of Norway and all that. Like, you can't even do 90 minutes for Arsenal, who pay your wages week in, week out. I'm sorry, we've got to be a little bit more ruthless, boys, especially when you've got a weakened squad and a small squad. But listen, you got to like. Yeah, I'm with Jordan on this. I said it yesterday. Injuries are part and parcel of it. Someone step up now, please. Wanyeri, Shinchenko, whoever it is, our midfield is all right. And that's how I look at it. I think it's big Spurs. That's what I think.
And that's the point I really wanted to come in on, this idea that we've got this tiny squad. I mean, we might do. The reason I say we might do is, in theory, we do have two players for each position. The question is, what do we get from those players? And then we'll understand actually, the depth of it. If Partey is able to keep himself fit like the 22-23 season, unlike the 23-24 season, then you've got real depth in that 6 area. If Nwaneri, 17 or not, is a baller who is ready to step in and do a bit for Odegaard, then you've got a player there who, forget losing Vieira and Smith Rowe, you've got someone who can come in and do that. And then you've got Marino and Jorginho too. So that's 6 players for 3 midfield positions. In that front 3, we had last season Reece Nelson, we had Eddie Nketiah, we had Smith Rowe who could play there. But this season we've got Sterling, Saka, Jesus Havertz, Trossard, Martinelli. Now, people can talk about whether they're underwhelmed by the Sterling signing. That's fair. And people can talk about whether they thought we should have done more to add firepower to that front line. I wanted that too. And that's fair. But the numbers are there. That's 6 players I've mentioned for 3 positions. 6 not bad players. Like, there's no one there that we're sort of devastated to see in the 11. And then we know that our back 4 is stacked. So I think the reason why I'm still taking the glass half full approach is because everything Turkish has said and others might absolutely be correct. It probably actually is correct. But I'm just going to wait and see, because we don't know. If Nwaneri comes in and looks brilliant, the midfield depth is actually great. We've actually got brilliant profiles across that whole midfield.
Can we talk about?
I think we got 3 6s, one or 2 8s, and 1 10. I mean, the numbers are the numbers, but Partey, Jorginho, and Rice is essentially one position that they're there to be filled. Marino is the 8. Who's his understudy? We're talking about Zinchenko now. Who's Odegaard's understudy? We're hoping Ranieri steps up. Think about what we're doing here. And Lee said, I'm not worried about William Saliba. I am very worried about William Saliba. Very, very worried. Yeah, because these are slight negatives. Because someone said that in the comment section to me yesterday. Don't make a mountain out of these slight negatives, but the slight negatives build up to make a considerable negative come the end of the season. Fabregas said he looked around and felt like the burden was on him sometimes. Van Persie said this club didn't show the ambition at the time it was needed to show ambition. So, yes, I am worried about William Saliba, knowing that he is amongst 4 players that will be with 2 years left on their contract next summer. I am very worried about that because we are talking about Nwaneri now. Do you think Saliba wants to hear Nwaneri is the hope for our midfield? With all due respect, he's a gem. He looks good, but it's not. You're not filling these players that are on the cusp of being world class, great players with in my opinion, the necessary tools. Can they get over the line with it? Yes. Can we beat Tottenham on Sunday? Yes. But the reality is the club haven't put them in a great position to do it this season. And if we don't do it, the knock-on effect of these slight negatives is going to be considerable. I'm going to tell you lot now. I've seen this story before. It will. What we wait 12 months to sign Sesko. That's the rhetoric now. We wanted Sesko. Let's wait 12 months and we're going to get our man. In 12 months, we might lose a Saliba. So what will Sesko do for when Saliba goes in? Does he fill in that centre back as well?
Listen, all this talk about Saliba, if he wants to go, let him go. I don't want people that don't want to play for Arsenal. And when has he ever made an indication that he wants to leave?
Yeah, but Lee, why should he play for Arsenal if they're not showing ambition? Is my thing. I know you're saying why should you care? But
Turkish,
we
don't know yet.
Yeah, but
we don't know yet. What do you mean?
Don't know. Lee, we've seen this club how many times over the last 20 years sell our best players because we show no ambition. How do we not know, though, Lee? How? We've seen it. How many players can I reel off over the last 20 years?
Listen, Liverpool sold their best player in Coutinho a few years ago, and look what happened to them.
And reinvested 150 mil.
Well, that's what you have to hope that Arsenal will do. If
this was the summer to do it. This was the summer to do it. Man City are weaker year on year again, and we didn't do it because we hope that in 12 months the profile of striker is available for us.
That's not down to Arteta and Edu, then, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? I look at it and think like I'm with James on that. I've got no problem. I've got no issue with our front six. I've got no issues with it. Yes, I wanted to add someone else, but it's time for them to step up. Martinelli has got to step up. Havertz has got to step up. Sterling's got to hit the form that he's doing, and for me, you know. I'm gonna be really honest. No good having a kid at 17. I'm worried about Nwaneri because he's this talent. If I'm an Arsenal fan or I'm on Nwaneri at the moment, I'm sitting here. I'm worried about him, and I'll tell you why I'm worried about him. Angel Gomez is in the England squad at his age and things like that. He might be thinking to himself, "Oh, I ain't getting an opportunity. You know, I want away." So look, he's now got the opportunity.
But the same argument you made for Saliba is I don't care about how you feel about it. I could say the same about Nwaneri. What, 17 years old and you want to play? I don't care.
Well, no, but like they've got to be given a chance. Yeah, you know what I mean? Saliba was given a chance. Well, at the end of the day, he was in a lot better position to get a chance because there weren't nothing in front of him. But there is players in front of Nwaneri. Nwaneri, realistically, if you're going to play, he's never going to get in the team, is he? If the only thing that's going to get him in the team is injuries, and sometimes you need something like that to get your chance, and he's got his chance now. Like, you know, that's how I see it. I think with Saliba, listen, you know, he's the best thing that I've seen defensively as a centre half at Arsenal. You know what I mean? People go, well, what about Tony Adams? He's far better than Tony Adams at 22. He's far better than Martin Keown at 22. He's the best 22-year-old defender I think I've seen at Arsenal. I tell you that the best young defender I see at Arsenal that age was David O'Leary, right? But you know, like it doesn't mean to say he's going to become the best ever. But what I'm saying is he is exciting. And at the end of the day, you know, he's going to get people coming in for him and all that, like, you know. But I like to think that he's happy at the Arsenal and wants to stay at the Arsenal and be successful. There is going to be a time when, it might not happen. But Arsenal would have won 2 titles if it weren't for Man City in the league. You know what I mean? If Man City were in a different league. We're just unfortunate at this moment in time. We're playing against an unbelievable team over the last 6 or 7 years. But I'll tell you what, if Real Madrid were in our league, would they win it? Or would Man City win it? That's how you've got to look at it like, you know what I mean? I get what you're saying. And somewhere along the line, these players, I don't care who it is, if Man City continue, Turkish, to keep winning this league, winning, other players are going to go, do you know what? We're never going to win the league over here. I'm going to opt to Spain or I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there. And maybe like Arsenal's players are looking and thinking, well, I've got a better chance of winning the La Liga than I have the Premier League. Someone's got to stop this Man City. Someone's got to stop them. Like, you know what I mean?
My frustration also comes from my belief. Arteta has turned out to be a gem. The reason we are the way we are now and the expectation is up there is because of him. The players he's brought in, the system he uses, we score more goals than the Invincibles, we conceded the least in the league, and so on and so on and so on. And it's turned around my belief that competing with City is, you know, because I was like you, Lee, I was thinking it's impossible to win this league with Pep. And this was outside looking in years ago. You might be able to nick one, but it's hard to ever believe you can win it when they're in the league. But guess what? I believed we can win it last season. I believed. Why? Because of Mikel. Yeah. I believed we can win it because of the players out there, the goals, the lack of goals conceded, the football on show, the domination, so on. So sitting here at the beginning of the summer, I'm looking at it like Pep's one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest, but we can win the league this year if we bring in the final pieces. But why is it now, 3 weeks into the season, we're talking about glass half full again? Kind of 17-year-old step up. It's unfortunate with injuries. Rinse, repeat. Like, how many times are we going to be unfortunate with injuries without ever really looking at the negligence that the club has?
Okay. I agree with what you're saying. I totally agree with what you're saying. But at the end of the day, we bought Timber last season, got injured on the first game of the season. We bought Marino this season, he's got injured and all that. And the other fact is that Manchester City last season, and no one talks about it, right, didn't have Haaland and didn't have De Bruyne for half the season because they had other players step up. And that is exactly what Arsenal got. We're in the same boat as they were last season. What you got to do is step up. The reason you're upset, and I get what you're upset about, is that we haven't done what you think is right in the transfer window. Like, you know what I mean? I'm with you on that. Like, you know what I mean? But before the transfer window opened, we're all thinking, yes, this is it. Like, bring in this, bring in that. Like, you know, you got to trust what they've got. And if we fail again, and say, for instance, I'm with you on this. If Liverpool come above us and win the league, and we don't, and Man City drop off and whatever, that is down on Edu and Arteta because they had the opportunity, and that's it. But at this moment in time, you know, this is a test, and I'm sorry, it doesn't. You know, last season the reason that we probably didn't, you know, like the players wanted to leave because they weren't getting enough opportunities. You know, this season they're going to get the opportunities. They've got to take them. You know, and you know, football's a funny thing. We'll probably by this time next week we'll be 7 points off of it, and I'll be going mad. But that's football, you know what I mean? Like, but we're in a position you can't injure. You know, you can buy. We could have gone and got Sesko. We could have gone and got I don't know who else. They could be injured in the first game. Turkish. That's football.
Yeah, I get that it's football, but we've left ourselves like in multiple positions. It's not like I'm just talking about one position here now. We're talking about a position that, again, we thought Partey would be moved on this summer. We thought we'd bring in someone a bit more reliable. You've mentioned that Partey's played 180 for Ghana. Is he going to go and play 270 in the next week, which we need? Is he going to? Probably unlikely, right? Because that's why we wanted him upgraded this summer.
Totally agree with that. That is where I think that they've gone wrong. I think we've all admitted this. I think Jordan said it on that. We're relying on Jesus. You know, like it's like James was saying. We've got 6 players. We don't even know when's Jesus back. I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, but you can't rely on Jesus. You can't rely on Tom. You know, Tom. There's a thing come out this week. Thomas Partey, he's back. Oh, like great. What, for a week? You know what I mean? Like Thomas Partey. Every time, like I'm going to watch the game on Sunday. Right? I'll be there. Every time Thomas Partey goes in for a tackle, I'm going to shut my eyes. Every time he runs, I'm going to shut my eyes. Every time he has to go into a sprint, I'm going to shut my eyes that is on them two. That is on Edu. That is on Arteta, because they know exactly what his injury record's like. So for me, I wouldn't be surprised if, was it a couple of years ago, even he went to run and they're trying to push him on because he's injured and all that. Like, you know, if he gets injured, I'm with you on that. That is on them. But that's what we're in now, like, you know what I mean? Because I think Thomas Partey should have been upgraded. I agree with you on that one, because not because he's rubbish and all that, it's because he's the reliability, like, you know, that's how I see it.
I think it's very likely that in a few weeks' time or in a few months' time, we're talking about not having done enough in the squad. I think while I have immense belief in Nwaneri, it's fair to say that 17-year-old might prove that he's not quite ready yet. And then we're having a conversation about why we let all the kind of heirs to Odegaard go, and why we kind of had a mismatch of profiles in midfield. Because I agree with you, Turkish. You've kind of got, you know, 110, 17-year-old, 1-8, and then 3 6s. So, yeah, there's an imbalance there that you can make work, but doesn't feel kind of natural in terms of depth. And all these things we could talk about. I just feel that we're going to see. And Arteta, I don't think, will have allowed Arsenal to get so close twice, only to feel like he's come out with a weaker squad. I believe he's come out with a stronger squad. Maybe not in terms of numbers. There's not more numbers. But I think where last season there were 23, 24 players, of which he trusted 15 of them, I think there's maybe 21 players of which he trusts 18 of them. And I think Arteta will feel more comfortable with the players he's got there. He might be 17, but you could see in pre-season that Arteta felt a lot more comfortable with Nwaneri playing in central midfield than he did Vieira. Didn't give Vieira a sniff in central midfield across pre-season. Dare I say, and people might laugh at me in the comments, Salah Dean showed more in pre-season than we got from Vieira. I mean it, he did. And you've still got that kind of player there. If you're talking about Carabao Cups and things like that to rotate, of course, we just drew Bolton. He can play in that kind of game and you keep things moving. But like I said, there are still 2 players for every position. When we talk about the North London derby, which I imagine we'll come on to in a sec, like with the injury crisis we've got, I actually still think you can put forward very reasonable options for how to potentially win this game. So I'm interested to see how Arteta gets creative. I think the rhetoric and the narrative will be in a few months' time, unfortunately, that Arsenal didn't do enough. And I said that at deadline day. Once it hit 11 p.m. and Sterling was signing, we did, and people asked me to rate the window. I said, look, I don't think we did enough, if I'm honest. I don't think we did enough for me to feel like we're title favourites. And my prediction, I did a prediction video on my channel last week. I said we'll finish second to City because of that window. So I'm not sitting here saying I think we had a really good window that we should win it. But I don't think we've had a bad one to a point where I think all hope is lost. And I think we've had one whereby a lot is up in the air. We're going to learn a lot. If Nwaneri comes through as some absolute superstar, I promise we won't care that he's 17. We won't. We'll go, I get why Smith Rowe and Vieira left, because this guy's playing now. And my word, does he look amazing. And it's I say it's unlikely. It might not be unlikely, because there must be a reason why we were happy to sanction a loan for Vieira. We didn't get any money for him. We sanctioned a loan. So let's see. It's a big few weeks. But, you know, Arteta and Edu, some of it's been unfortunate, like with the Rice Red. I do believe that was really unfortunate, like with the Marino injury. But could they have prepared for things like an Odegaard injury? Yes. But maybe they did in Nwaneri and the options they've got. I just feel like I can't feel like everything's too catastrophic until I've seen the result. And I know that's easy to say. Oh, well, so you're just going to moan about it, James, when everything comes through. And then it'll be people like Turkish who called it out originally that will say, see, and we'll all go, yeah, fair enough. But I don't think we're so talentless in the squad and we're in such a terrible position that I need to sort of be terrified of what's to come yet. I think there's still a good opportunity for us to do some good work.
Let's just briefly talk about Nwaneri for a second, because I agree with you guys. It's likely that he's going to feature quite heavily, if not Sunday, definitely of the next few games. I've not seen a lot of him, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know he's the next wonder kid. You know, we've done that with so many of our academy players that have turned out to just not be all that.
He looks good, but I'm telling you now, no one knows 100%.
Okay.
This is all copium now. He's out there, and let's bring him in. This is what it is. Like, don't get twisted. I like the look of him, but now everyone's an expert and everyone's all right, cool.
No, fair enough. So okay, so cool. So I've seen a little bit of him. The little bit I saw of him, he looked lively. The boy can play, but that's the extent of my knowledge on him. But it's looking like, and to James's point, it's looking like Arteta rates him, and that's what really matters. Arteta rates him, because if you're letting Vieira, I never rated him, and then Smith Rowe go, who, let's be honest, Smith Rowe, even when he played last season, did he rip up trees? I know we like Smith Rowe, but let's not pretend like, if Smith Rowe was here, that would be an adequate backup for Odegaard, because come on, we know what it is. So Jordan, I'm trusting.
Would you be happy if Vieira and Smith Rowe were starting the North London derby this weekend?
No.
I wouldn't be.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. So them two not being in the squad, we're literally talking about bodies. Like, they'll be there as bodies, but Smith Rowe's not a difference maker to me. So I'm not gutted that he's gone. So Nwaneri is going to likely play that midfield free. Let the kid run. I don't want to kill off his career early on, but let the kid have a go. It's a North London derby. We've seen what these games can do to some youngsters with talent coming through. I'm not that worried. But as you said regarding Turkish's point, James, look, we're all concerned. So in 3 weeks' time, let's be really honest here. Our season could be over. That's the brutal reality, because we're not prepared. We could be out of the title race in 3 weeks' time. That is a distinct possibility.
Race could look very bleak in a few weeks.
It could be over. It could be over. We lose to Spurs and City. We're done.
It's over.
We're done. So, but let's deal with that then. But I think Turkish's point is, I think we kind of know how this film plays out. We have not prepared. We've not prepared for this battle, for this fight, and it's looking like, with a little bit of bad luck, we're going to be on the back foot early on. But I say throw the kid in. Let's see how it works out, and let's have faith in Arteta that he sees something that we don't see. And if it goes wrong, then we can pull him apart and we can go crazy in 2 weeks' time.
So Jordan, you're saying we haven't prepared, and I think that's Turkish's message, and I agree. Like, I really want to say that I agree we haven't done enough. But there's a chance that the club feel they have. And I know to us that might sound crazy, but the club might absolutely feel like they've.
That's why I'm holding back. That's why I'm holding back for now, because they feel like they've got enough.
Exactly that. And can I be really brutal about this, right? And it's when people go, we haven't got a backup for Odegaard, right? We haven't got a back. Is the backup going to be better than Odegaard?
Of course not.
So at the end of the day, whoever comes in, whether it's a £50 million player now or
no, but Lee, the gap could be smaller. The backup won't be as good as Odegaard.
We don't know that yet, Jordan.
No, we don't.
You're saying about Smith Rowe, right? You're saying about Smith Rowe, right? You don't want him in the team. You wouldn't want him in the team, like, because you know he's not quite up to it now. A fit Smith Rowe, I would like him, but we don't know. But at the end of the day, they might know that they might be holding back this unbelievable player now. Like, I mean, we're about to see. That's how you've got to look at. Please just look at the positives. We've got to back the team. We've got no choice.
I think there's two things.
I'm sick of this, man. Honestly, man. You lot catch up to me in a few weeks, yeah? Catch up to me in a few weeks. I'm just going to not talk on the podcast moving forward. Catch up to me in a few weeks. No, but lying to ourselves.
Hear me out. I don't think we disagree with you.
Why is Josh Kroenke painted outside the Emirates? Why?
It's a madness.
Because the fans have already lost it.
It's a madness.
Because of things like this, they just lose it. They put the blindfolds on, wool over the eyes. Oh,
no, but
Turkish, great. I don't think our owner is back to being painted on the stadium.
It's a madness. I agree. But I don't think we disagree with you. I just think we're trying to wait for it to play out. I think we know how this is going to play out. I think we're with you. We're with you. But I think until it happens, there's almost no point losing our heads.
Well, no,
I agree.
I honestly just think.
But I'm with you.
So hold on. I think Eze for 60 million, who can play in the front three, would have given us depth there, but can also play central areas. I think I can't believe that's a deal we didn't do. Difference maker, final third maker. Look at the goal he scored for Palace against Chelsea. Trust me, like, no one made more videos than me about signing a forward, and I talked about Eze a lot, even though he's kind of not a conventional front three player. So we could and should have done more. Absolutely. I really feel that. But the reason I'm saying I'm just holding back a second is because I don't know. When I've watched Arsenal even win a game of football, but we've played terribly, I know what my eyes have shown me. And I'm going, listen, this is gonna be a problem the way we just played later down the line. We need to fix these performances, blah, blah, blah. I actually know so little about the reasons why Arsenal made these decisions. And I'll tell you why. Because, and I know we keep mentioning Waneri, he's one example. If Waneri is gold dust, a superstar, then I understand why we didn't replace Odegaard. Now, we signed Raheem Sterling. Now, to a lot of people, and actually I think this too, he was a opportunity on deadline day, loan signing, just to get a body in. And ultimately, we're going to feel like we didn't do enough when we could have gone for a Sane, an Mbemo, a Pedro Neto, a whoever. And you could actually list about 6-7 names, Nico Williams. And I agree with all that. But what if the club see it, and they could be right, what if the club see it as, we just got a guy who 2 years ago was balling out for Man City, who's played his best football under Mikel Arteta, who's got a track record of getting 20-plus goals in the league, and Arteta's going to unlock that, and we've added a superstar winger. Now, it's probably not that, but that's not beyond the realms of possibility, and I don't know that he's not going to be that. So the reason I'm just holding out is because I don't know that the club haven't done enough. I don't think they have. My instinct, from what I know of these players, 17-year-old and Sterling 2 years out of his best form, we haven't done enough to upgrade in the midfield and forward lines. Marino, I think, is a good player / very good player who will keep us ticking. I don't think he's that superstar midfielder like De Jong or Bruno Guimaraes that we wanted. I agree with all that, but I don't know yet. And I'm much more excited about seeing what they might do than having another year of El Neni, another year of Nketiah, another year of Nelson, another year of Smith Rowe and Vieira. That I kind of feel bad putting Smith Rowe in that, because I don't know what these guys might offer. And if they are up to the standard that I think the club must obviously think they are, then numbers aren't a problem. We've got numbers and we've got quality. So, T, you're probably right. I'm just not ready to say it's all a complete mess yet, because I don't know.
He's right there, James. He is right. He is right. Being really honest, I feel let down by the transfer window. If I've been really honest, because I'm with Turkish on this. Go and buy a Grimm, I don't know, Bruno in there and an Isaac, and everybody will be going, oh, this is fantastic. So we still might not win the league, but I get what we're saying. It's an exciting time like that. I'm not as excited this season going in to last season. I'll be really honest, and that's because of the transfer window. And then you, on top of that, you've got all the injuries and all that. But out of disappointment and all that, something could happen. And I'm in that thing. I've watched a lot of football over the years. You know what I mean? I remember. You guys won't remember this, but back in '88, we was trying to buy Frank McAvenny and Tony Cottee, and they didn't come to the club. And we was going, oh, that's us done. We haven't gone and got a forward. But there was a Paul Merson at the club, you know what I mean? And it turned out to be all right. You know what I mean? So there is that in the back of my mind. You know what I mean? You've got to give these youngsters a go. You never know what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, Turkish is right to have you up. And I'm probably if I'm going to be honest, I'm a betting man. In a week's time or 10 days' time, we'll all be sitting here moaning and groaning because we haven't done enough, And that's the facts. The facts of the matter. It probably is. But I do agree with James. I do believe that we've got more quality in this squad than last season. I know you might think that's silly, but I do think that we have not the quality we want, but I think we're a better squad than what we were last season. Because you're right. At the end of the day, El Neni was backing up certain players. He's not now. You've got Jorginho and realistically Partey backing those players, or even Marino backing up those players, but they're injured, and unfortunately injuries happen. And sometimes you ride your luck. We rode our luck last season with injuries. You know what I mean? Saliba last season never missed a game. Declan Rice started every single game last year. You know what I mean? Odegaard missed. Did he? I don't think
games or something.
A couple of games. I think he missed with a groin injury. I think 2 games at the most. Ben White never misses a game. You know what I mean? So when you look at that, you have to say, okay, but sometimes, luck does play a part. You can actually go and buy a striker of £80 million and a midfielder of £8 million. And then in 3 weeks' time, you're going, well, we're not using them.
So look. I think we've got to move on to the Spurs game, right? But this might be a good link in. We've discussed the problem. So let's just to talk about how we think with what we do have. How do we get through this next month, right? With what we have got, let's try and be positive. How do we get through this next month with what we do have? Who's the 11 we do want to see? What's the strategy we want to see? What points do we want? Wow.
I don't know.
Wow.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, James.
Oh, come on, Turkish. Have a smile.
Come on, Turkish.
Please.
Come on, Turkish.
What did you do?
I did that. I was trying to say that there's two solutions. And my laptop's very happy about the fact there's two solutions.
Oh,
Can
man.
I
Three? Go for it, James.
So I think Arteta can go one of two ways with this. And I'm going to get tactical and nerdy because I know Lee loves it.
Love it.
And sorry, before you do, James, one other question. What points total do we think keeps us in the race? What's the bare minimum we need to keep us in the race?
Cool. So I'll answer that first. And people won't like the answer. 2 draws out of Tottenham away and City away were still in the race.
Agreed.
Because we'll have come out of that with Villa Park, Tottenham away, and the Etihad done 4 points behind City. I'm not saying that's good, but no one's out the title race match week 6, 4 points behind. Like no one is. In fact, with 10 games to go, 4 points behind, you're still not out the title race.
There isn't a race yet.
Yeah, I know.
We have to find out if anyone's going to join the race with City. That's what we have to find out.
Well, Liverpool.
I love Turkey.
I mean, 4 points behind City, by the way, because Liverpool could be cleaning up all that time, and then we find ourselves potentially 6 points behind them. So yeah, but in terms of keeping up with City, to come out of those 4 games with the injuries and whatever, 4 points behind, 3 big away games out of the way, it's not good, but it's not season over for me. So I think 2 draws keeps us in it. But in terms of the 11s, I think Arteta has 2 options. I think you either go profile for profile, in which case you do, and I don't like it, but you do bring Havertz back into the left 8. You have Partey in there too. So you get 2 6-foot+ dual winners. Just is Partey even a dual winner anymore? That's a big question. But you go with those 2 and Waneri to come in for Odegaard. And you go, right, without Marino and Rice and without Odegaard, these are the players you can more closely replicate what they do. That's one way. That's not my way. I think you go old school 4-4-2. Now, hear me out. We played at Spurs last season without the ball. And actually, we hurt them in transition all the time. And when we're without the ball, we press with a 4-4-2. Odegaard presses with Havertz. But also in big games last season, Odegaard did play more in the 10 with Jorginho next to Rice. And we played with almost, instead of inverting Zinchenko to create a bit of a box midfield, we played with our strikers basically dropping in. So I think there's a world in which you can play Partey and Jorginho closer together, have 2 actual 6s next to each other, keep Havertz up front, and play Trossard, either in the 10 or as a second striker or whatever, with Sterling or Martinelli and Saka on the wings. So you've got your pace in transition. You've got Trossard and Havertz in build-up, dropping in, whatever. You've still got a bit of height in the team. And, you've got Trossard who can score goals and make moments out of nothing. You've still got Havertz up front to lead the line and lead the press. And we're not going to have most of the ball anyway. So that's the shape you have for a lot of the game. So that's my solution. I don't love it, but I think you go Trossard and Havertz as a front 2. It's not 4-4-2. It's still, but you get what I mean. The system's always fluid. Basically, Trossard plays Odegaard's role, is what I'm saying.
I get that. I think now it's time for Zinchenko to play midfield. We're stacked.
No, I wouldn't.
So
I wouldn't have midfield.
Zinchenko comes. I'm not saying comes in there and starts, James, but he comes to back up one of those players now. So instead of saying, "Oh, he's a backup left back now," he comes into the midfield and backs that up. That strengthens us a little bit, from that point of view. Listen. Jorginho played against Man City, all the big games last season. Liverpool at home played in those games, so I'm quite comfortable with him coming in there, not week in week out, but stepping in 3 or 4 games, doing the job, coming out, not a problem.
And sorry, he only has to play Spurs away. Rice is available for
Rice comes back after that. I'd actually playing for the next two. I play him against Spurs and I play him in Italy. What I would do is Jorginho plays in this game. Rice and Jorginho come back against Atlanta, and Partey has a rest. That's what I would do.
And for all our catastrophizing, is that the word? I can't even say it. But for all the like panic that I am feeling about this midfield, it's a case of Jorginho and Partey are good enough to get something at Spurs. I've got no doubt about it. Rice is back for the Champions League. When it comes to City away next week, whatever I think of Mourinho probably being our best midfield, Partey's been the one who's got the shirt and has been playing. So Partey and Rice are available, and that's two of your best three. Yeah, like Odegaard, we don't. So like, it's not. It's only really this Spurs game at the moment. It feels like.
Yeah, that's the panic. And listen, I get it because I'm now panicking about the Spurs game. You know what I mean? If all if you want to be honest, when you want to go to Spurs, you want everybody fit. But listen. As I said yesterday, I remember Newcastle had a depleted side going against Spurs last season and beat them. Sometimes you just got to get through it. So for me, that's how I go. I'm going Ranieri. I'm backing the kid. I'm backing him. I'm going to back him.
I don't want to bring it back to it, but I've seen depleted sides beat Tottenham. I haven't seen depleted sides beat City to the top.
No.
And that is the overall.
We could be depleted. We could be Turkish, but against City, if everything goes our way and we don't pick up, we'll be one player off of our best team.
Yeah,
our best team wasn't good enough.
Well, it was good enough to get a draw. It's like for me.
No, but I mean, last season our best team wasn't good enough. We had injury-free season. They had De Bruyne and Haaland. That it still wasn't good enough. So what makes us think?
We didn't have Partey for all of that season.
Oh my God! I mean, now we got.
Listen. A fit Partey is still a very, very good player. But we know he ain't fit. But listen, I do believe if we'd have had Partey for 6 games last season, if we had him for 26, it might have made a difference. Turkish, what I mean?
I think this game, just on the Spurs one, for me, it's really about Postecoglou and whether he's prepared to double down on his high line, or if he thinks actually last year they battered us by doing what I did. So I think he will double down. So in that case, you want Saka and Sterling on those wings, you want Havertz dropping deep, and then you want balls over the top. The midfield battle is going to be key. Their midfield isn't amazing, so I still maintain that Partey, Jorginho, and Ranieri is a good enough 3 in midfield to contest, if not beat, their midfield, and then our front 3 to do the business up top. I don't see this as a big game. I think Turkish's problem is the wider season.
Yeah,
it's overall. We should have enough to beat Spurs.
I don't think we should lose Sunday. I don't think we should lose Sunday. It's not. It's
no.
Just people that think it's just about Sunday. For me, it's not. I think we can get 3 points. My problem is the wider picture, but we can. I think starting Ranieri. I think he's the best option we got in terms of trying to manipulate the space that they're going to leave for us in midfield. I think he's the most mobile we've got. I think you start him, whether that's in front of a double pivot or whatever. I think Ranieri is the one you start.
And he's got to show balls because they're going to rough him up. They're going to if they're going to kick him, they're going to really put it on him. So he's really got to kind of step up and be ready for that. They've got to really protect him. And by I mean the senior players, Jorginho, Sterling, they've got to really look after Ranieri because I think he will start, but Spurs are going to batter him. They're going to really stick it on him.
Sterling, disgusting.
I'm talking about the senior players that have been in these big games before that can help him.
We're still starting ex-Chelsea, ex-City.
I know.
I'm with you, sir. I'm not in this boat of starting Sterling all of a sudden.
5 years ago, Havertz, Jorginho, Sterling would all be playing for us. Yeah.
Why has he got the right? I'll keep hearing this all the time. Oh, Sterling's got.
I'm starting Sterling. Starting Sterling.
On what grounds?
Because Martinelli has been dog shit. You got to be swearing now on the podcast. He's been awful. So definitely ain't starting.
What's Sterling been in the last year then?
Well, at least with Sterling,
been at our club, and he's not.
No, he hasn't. No, because you know why?
Why?
Because I know what Sterling can do in these kinds of games. Sterling is angry. Yeah, he's very, very angry. He's angry about how he was treated with Chelsea. I'm putting him in. North London derby. This is the game to put 2 fingers up at Chelsea. I'm not starting Martinelli.
I'm with both. Sterling hasn't done enough to warrant a start, but I would start him because Martinelli's pissing me off and Trossard's pissing me off, and that's the reason he starts. It's more like a domino
It's
effect.
by default. It's by
Martinelli
default.
started 2. He's been poor. Trossard stepped in. He's a better 12th man. Okay, cool. Let's see what Sterling. So roll of the dice again. But I agree with Lee as well. I mean, Sterling's been much worse than Martinelli over the last 24 months. So we're hoping, because James said it mentioned Sterling City. I went it 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20 is the only 3 seasons Sterling got more than 13 goals in the league. 19, 20 being the only 20 goal season 4 seasons ago now. So we are really, really scraping the bottom of this barrel right now, hoping that we start Sterling, because I agree, start him, and he has something to prove. He's got the chip on his shoulder. Because that is the saving grace of this transfer window. If Sterling does rediscover anything similar to the form 4 years ago, cool. That could be something for us in attack.
And then if he does, that's on Arteta and
he'll score. He'll score.
But I'm with Lee. It's not like he's done anything to warrant it.
He's done anything. I think he's a good backup, and that's how you got to look at it. Like, I'd rather see Jesus play than him. You know what I mean? As a wide player
as well. You know, is he fit enough to start?
No, he ain't. That's the reason. Like, you know what I mean? Give it. You know, this is this. You know, when you turn around and say, and Turkish is right. Well, we've got to be better than. Well, like Martinelli was crap last season. He needs to step up. Give him the opportunity, and for Christ's sake, Gabby, step up. Someone has got to come out and step up. He's one of them.
On that point, Lee, though, this is the game. Martinelli with that high line can't do bits. If he can't do bits against a high line like that, 100%. Then
100%. And
speak to your boy.
This is his perfect opportunity, because there ain't that many games when you play with a 40, 30-yard run into you. It is his game. It is his game. It don't happen very often. This is an opportunity for him to do it. Like, don't forget, if they play a high line, you haven't got to have so much legs in midfield, because you're playing 50 yards instead of 100 yards. You know what I mean? So this could be them playing a high line. If they do go that way, will suit us down to the ground. Like, you know what I mean? We won't have to be chasing like 40-yard runs in midfield. It'll be like 20 yards runs in midfield, and then you're relying on the pace of Havertz. Of Martinelli. The thing is, if you play Havertz and Saka up front, as good as they are, they're not speed merchants. So you need one speed merchant to play a high line. So it will have to be Sterling or Martinelli, and then two could be the key. One plays 60 minutes, the other plays 30, like, you know what I mean? And that is where you kill them. That is where you kill Tottenham. Like, we didn't even play well at Spurs last season. Well, I thought we was poor. We're 3-0 up at half time. You know what I mean? Without even playing against them. So I'm not fearing Tottenham from that point of view. I agree. It's a City game after that I'm worried about, you know what I mean? Because we're going to have to be at our very, very best that game, like, you know. But listen, if you go down losing to Spurs, you won't win the league, because at the end of the day, City will go there and win. Look how City played there last season. Totally in control. That is how we got to be.
I'm worried about Spurs. They've got good attacking players. Like, they can hurt us. And
any team in the Premier League can, James.
Sorry?
Any team in the Premier League can.
Yeah, they're a good team. They are a good team.
Are they? Look at their last few games last season. They struggled left, right, and centre. They've not really picked it up this season. Neither.
They had a horrible run towards not getting Champions League football in the end. Villa kind of beat them to it. I was sort of, like I said, I was on holiday, so I wasn't really paying much attention. But then the Newcastle game, I mean, they did have big chances. They played well at St James's Park for in bits, in spells, but ultimately got sort of done on the counter attacks. So I want to see if Arsenal will be quite savvy and make sure that we're sort of doing those bits in transition like we did in the game last season. But they've got good players. I'm nervous about it. I answered a question from Jordan. I'd love all of you to answer it too. What is the worst set of results that keeps us in the title race for you guys? Turkish, what's the worst set of results from Tottenham and City that keeps us in the title race?
There's no title race yet, bro. That's my answer.
You get what I'm saying? In touching distance of City, for you to feel like it's not over.
We could be 5 points behind City. We're in touching distance, but the reality is too much. So it's hard for me to say. I can't even entertain it to talk of a title race this early. Like the race starts halfway through the season for me.
You got,
So
yeah. But what we all right? Change it around to keep in,
we need to win both. We need to win both.
I don't think we need to win. I think we need to beat Spurs because of the 2 points we dropped at.
But Turkish, all due respect.
4 points. 4 points.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same. Listen,
4 points is the worst set of results.
Yeah, but James, it's like you have to put it this way.
You can't say 2 draws, bro. You can't say 2 draws.
You have to put it this way, James. Right? You're up against Usain Bolt, right, for a 100-meter sprint, and you're giving him 15 yards head start. He's going to beat you anyway. You know what I mean? So you can't be giving these teams 15, like 5, 8 point starts in front of you. You can't.
No, of course not. I'm just talking about the absolute worst set of results that keeps us within touching distance. I don't see how. You know, I'd be really disappointed if we don't win at Spurs because I think we're good enough to, even with the injuries.
If we beat Spurs, James, right, and lose to City, they're 5 points in front of us.
Yeah.
After 5 games, you know what I mean? You know, they dropped 2 points since December. They dropped 2 points. So I think you've got to beat Spurs and get a draw against Man City. And do you know what? I'll bite your bloody hand off for that now.
Isn't that interesting how that works out? You're right. If we beat Spurs and we lose to City, they're 5 ahead of us. If we draw both, they're only 4 ahead of us. Like like we haven't won a game. So listen, I was just asking.
You're right. You're right. 2 draws were still in it, bro. You're not wrong.
That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah. And in the context of everything that's just gone on the last few weeks, to have Villa Park, Tottenham away, and Etihad like chalked off,
I agree with
and
that.
I feel like we've still got over 30 games to make up 4 points on City. I just don't think that's the end of the world. I know that's such defeatist, shit man mentality to have. I'm not saying like I'd bite your hand off for that right now. I'm just saying like I think this idea that like there's all this immense pressure to win these next few games. I don't think our season lives and dies by us winning these next 2. I think. I don't know.
Under normal circumstances, James, under normal circumstances, I'll always take a point at Tottenham. You know what I mean? Like even when you look back at when we was winning titles, we very rarely won at Tottenham. I mean, we drew in quite a few times there. You know what I mean? It's a difficult place for us for obvious reasons. So the pressure of the game, the intensity of the game, you always take a draw. I think at the end of the day, what will come back to bite us, not Tottenham, not Manchester City away, it will be those games like Brighton at home. There'll be another one when we don't take our chances and we at home. Our home form will let us down because it's let us down for the last couple of years. And it's already let us down after 2 games. But beat Tottenham. And then all of a sudden you think, well, that ain't too bad, really. Like, you know what I mean, going into the City game, like, listen, lose to Tottenham and lose to City is, that's me done. That's me. That's title gone. And you might think I'm being over the. I don't think we'll come back from that. You know, what I mean?
That includes 1 point as well. Well, a draw against Tottenham and a loss against City. We're at. See you later.
I mean, as we're talking about it, what I'm realizing actually what's so crucial is that we don't lose at the Etihad once again. And people can sort of beat me with this mentality of if you want to win the title, go win at the Etihad. And I still think that's nonsense.
Yeah.
But really, like, that's huge. Actually, when all is said and done, we absolutely cannot lose at the Etihad. We can't let them. It's a 6-pointer. We can't let them gain another 3 on us that cheaply, whatever happens at Tottenham.
Bite your hand off, James, for a draw there. Every time we go to places like that, Liverpool, yes, you want to win those games, but at the end of the day, beat them at home, draw away. That's what you got to do. You know what I mean? Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, you got to beat Man City at home." Like that ain't easy.
Don't listen to that, man. That metric only came in when we started challenging for titles.
It's true, right?
Exactly.
Complete nonsense. Do you see? I saw some stat doing the rounds. Like, only like 3 of the last 10, 11 champions of something have actually gone and won at second place.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Like, basically, this idea you have to win away at your title rival. I'll die on this hill. I don't care how many ex-pros and legends tell me. They should go look at their own track records. They weren't winning away at second place. And they're telling us that that's the secret ingredient. Yes, winning at City would help us massively. But if we win at the Etihad, I'm not suddenly sat there going, we're definitely winning. I'm thinking, oh my God, we've got 32 more games to go.
Exactly that, James. If we win at the Etihad, I'll tell you that does not mean that we will win the league. Like, you know,
Like, an indicator that we're a good team and that we can.
Exactly that.
Like, come on. Anyway, let's not go down that.
Just finally, just finally, in terms of the game for me, I think the responsibility really is lying on the attack now. I think the defense has been so good for Arsenal for so long. I just need our front three now. There won't be a lot of chances in the next 2 games. Take out Atalanta. We'll get to that when we get to that. But Spurs and City, there will not be an abundance of goal scoring chances. So I need Martinelli, Sterling, Saka, Odegaard, Jesus. When they get those few chances at White Hart Lane on Sunday and the Etihad, they've got to take them. I trust our defense to keep a clean sheet. Maybe letting one. I really trust our defense. I don't have any issues about can our defense keep us in games. I've got slightly more concerns about can our attack kill off games? Can our attack win games? So there's a lot of responsibility I'm putting on our attacking players this weekend.
I think that's a great point, actually. And when we're talking about the absence of an Odegaard, I think that absence is felt more when we're trying to break down a team and be creative. But as we mentioned, Spurs are a side that allow you the opportunity to create chances purely because of their high line and the way they play. Newcastle beat them with a very workmanlike midfield. I'm not saying there's not quality in there, Tonali, Guimaraes, whatever, but ultimately it's about sort of physically imposing players that can sort of, can control via their running and ensure that they're able to sort of nick moments and create transitions and have a pacey front three. Arsenal, in losing Odegaard, haven't lost the ability to do all that. So while it would be moving away from the way we play, I actually agree with Jordan. Our front three, if Tottenham don't compromise, if Tottenham don't compromise, which I don't think they will, then our front three, front four, whatever, will get chances. And actually, for once, why don't we bail out the back four? It's so true.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
bailing out the attack because they missed a few chances, but 1-0 was enough, or 2. Now against Brighton, 1-0 wasn't enough, and context and whatever. Let's see if like the front three can take these chances, can kill Spurs, can actually just,
And to be fair, they did last year at Tottenham. To be fair, that's the one game last year where the attack leads right. We wasn't great. We wasn't great in that game, but the attack were ruthless. So we need that again.
I agree. So there you go. That's the task.
Well, we'll find out. Let me bring up the prediction table as well, because I didn't bring it up last show because it was international break. Hopefully it's still here. Let me just here we are. There we go. That's how it's looking. Who got the last correct score? No one guessed Brighton 1-1 actually.
No.
But there you go. 3 matches played. James is top on 4 points. Well, I say he's top. He's joint top with Lee, both on 4 points and 1 correct score. And then it's Jordan in third with 2 points. I'm in fourth with 1 point. Predictions. James, start with you. Tottenham away Sunday, 2 p.m.
I think it'll be a 2-2. I don't think we're going to win. Sorry, people.
Lee?
2-1 Arsenal.
Jordan?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, 2-1 Arsenal. I was going 1-0 Arsenal. In fact, no, I'll go 1-0 Arsenal. I will go 1-0 Arsenal.
1-0 Arsenal. 3-1 Arsenal.
Jeez. Love you, Turkish.
Hey, Arsenal.
Absolutely for you. Absolutely. I'm gonna give you a little tickle when I see you later. Like that was great. All the disappointment. Yeah, back in the Gooners. That's what I like to hear.
You know what, as well?
Turkish
will always back Arsenal. Like, as in, like, you're always supporting the club no matter what.
And let's be honest, lads, it's Spurs.
and for all the conversation we've had rightly around all the kind of more negative news recently and stuff, can you imagine if without Rice, without Odegaard, without Marino, the disappointment of the last few weeks, Calafiori, whatever, winning at Spurs under this context would be like getting a big barrel of gasoline and just chucking it on our title race. Fires go up and we're all like, let's have it. Like honestly, it's football's so funny, isn't it? It's so funny how just like a result, a moment, or something just reignites everything. And it could go completely other. It could be a big barrel of water chucked on it. I know that.
A week later, City will be coming to piss all over the fire. That's the problem.
Absolutely, they could be. But this is why we love the game. So let's have it. Come on, we can do
3
it.
Arsenal wins predicted: 2-2 from James, 2-1 from Lee, 1-0 from Jordan, and 3-1 from myself. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section, as you always do. I'm sure there's already about 400 comments there saying how negative this pod's been, but it is what it is. Odegaard's injured. That's our captain, and what do you want us to be doing? Clicking our heels.
It's a massive blow. Like, let's be honest. You know what I mean? It's a massive blow. Like that. I couldn't watch the telly last night and everything. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm right. When I've actually seen the injury, I think he's lucky to walk off. I really do. I think we're lucky that if he's out for a month, we've had a touch. Look really, really bad.
It sprung back in it. The way it looked, it was like it was on the edge. It either goes one way and breaks or comes back the other way, and it's a very, very bad sprain.
It was a bit of a freak as well. It was a bit of a freak one as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the guy was trying to do him. It was a really,
it was a
Calafiori one. Like flip that landed on his calf. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Marino in training because he got landed on by Gabriel Magalhaes.
Unbelievable.
I can't say I would survive that one, if I'm honest. And then the Calafiori, they're all freak injuries. It's like, what is going on?
Add that to the Tierney in the shower list, and it just seems like there's something going on at this club. But
what was he doing in the shower though? That's I've got less sympathy for that one because we don't know what he was actually doing in the shower. So let's not.
Well, we don't know what Marino and Gabriel were doing either. But here we are.
Right, let's move on.
Here we are. Cool. At least we're smiling after an hour 15 minutes. All right, people, 1,000 likes, please. Come on, you know what it is already. And we are at that stage now. Comments of the day, and there was 1,200 comments.
Yes.
In the last pod.
Now, I don't want to say that James wasn't on the pod and we had our highest number of comments. I'm not doing the math stage. I'm just saying, the empirical facts are you was missing, show was more popular.
I'm holding us back. I know I'm holding us back. I know. Which is why I haven't come with a comment. No, I did just have a skim through and Turkish, I think, mentioned it, or Jordan. Thank you to people who said lovely things about me. Not everyone did, but that's fine. But I haven't come with a comment of the week. I don't know if I'm gonna get punished for that for being.
No, you're good.
No.
You lot
are gone soft. You're always missed. People always make comments, you know what I mean, about you. That you missed.
Thank you.
Let me go in with my comment anyway, because I've got it right here.
Is it a good one? Is it a happy one?
It's not too happy, and I'm probably gonna slander the user that commented it. So hopefully it's taken in good jest. But
I've missed you, Turkish.
Yeah, I miss you too, man. Welcome back. Follow Shy Story. I think that's the username. Said Havertz had 2 shots, and these guys expect 2 goals. They clearly haven't watched Tony or Gyökeres. They miss a lot. Of course, strikers miss a lot, but I've heard that a lot about the chance that Havertz had against Brighton. And I can't lie. After missing that chance, the narrative can't be, he had one other shot in the game and he scored that. So it's okay that he was 1-on-1 when it's 1-1 and he missed it because God forbid you want him to score 2 goals from 2 shots. Oh my God. So please miss me with that shit. And all 280 mugs that liked it, you miss me with it as well.
Press the like button, boys.
I'm liking it now.
Hit the like button.
It's just absolutely.
I actually agreed with that one. I actually agree with it. I see what he's saying. I felt he needed to score that goal, but you ain't get every striker missing.
He didn't need to score, Lee.
Sitter.
He scored the other shot he had. Don't worry, man. He scored the other shot. How can you expect him to score 2 out of 2, Lee? Come on, don't be silly.
No, but I watched Haaland the other day. He had a header. Who was he playing against? So he got action against Ipswich. He missed an header from 6 yards, put it over the bar. The chances do get missed. I think that's the point he's saying, But that was a vital at the moment. What you're saying, which is right. When it matters, they take those chances. That's what top strikers do. When it really, and that one for Havertz, it was a decider. If he scores that goal, we get the 3 points from that. He's
got a knack for doing really good work in the build-up.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of chance that makes you go, Oh, but he did so well. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of
He done,
those.
Beautiful
he done
touch.
it in the Euros, didn't he? And at the
Yeah, he
same
did.
time,
Euros, incredible touch. And then,
unbelievable. And what he done before was unbelievable. But when you get into that position, I'm with Turkish on that. After all that, when you get into that position, he didn't hit it right, did he?
no. I think he should have scored, but
I think he should have scored. Yeah, I'm disappointed he didn't.
it is what it is.
That's my comment. Thank you for the comment.
Thank you. Good one.
My one, it was a short one. It just says Lee starts being honest from 12 minutes 30. And I went back and checked it.
I'm trying to
be
stop
honest.
doing that now. I'm trying to stop doing that now because it's been pulled up on so many times. But
I love
if I'm honest, that's where I feel like. But I can't help saying it. I can't, but now it's been pulled up. I'm conscious of it. I am conscious of it, like,
Yeah.
It needs you to be honest,
man.
mate. That's the main thing.
Loved it.
That's
Oh,
go on, Lee. No,
I
go
got
on.
this one from Steve. We're great to see Dan on the Fourever Arsenal. We're back with Lee, the Chaz and Dave of Football Podcast. I quite like that, but then I realised that the Chaz and
Harsh.
Dave, Chaz and Dave support Spurs. I don't know if it's a compliment or not. Like,
That's a Chaz and Dave.
Davey.
Big up the community, man. Whether the comments angered us, frustrated us, made us laugh, whatever, we appreciate every single one. So keep them coming. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Make sure we're on 1,000 likes. It's Tottenham away coming up, Atalanta away after that, and then it's another big one at the Etihad a week after. And like I said, we'll be here after every single one of those games. Next episode should be out Monday. Look out for it Monday morning, people. Bright and early if you're in the UK. If you're elsewhere, yeah, it is what it is. Hit the like button. Love for the love. Make sure you subscribe. A lot of content coming out this week, including a super fan debate with a couple of the Tottenham lads. I'll be on that, so make sure you're here, people. Love for the love as always, and we'll be back again soon. Peace. We're out.